Good morning. It is January 19th, 2024. This is episode 51 of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. Thank you so much for supporting 51 episodes as this little-known stand-up comedian and dreamer shares his journey to anybody who feels like listening. So, last night was fantastic. I performed out at Stir Crazy Comedy Club in Glendale, Arizona. Just had an amazing show. The audience was so amazing. They, not all audiences are created equal, man. I'll tell you what. And when you have an audience who just wants to laugh, they aren't there to make you work for it. They aren't there to make you prove it. They just are ready for the first thing that sounds funny. And last night was kind of an interesting show. So it's a clean comedy show, and part of it is a clean comedy competition. So there's a handful of more amateur comics, and then I was the headliner, that went up, and I did about 20 minutes when they were tallying up all of the votes. And yeah, there were some newer comics, who were very much amateur, and you could tell that they were new and they were really struggling. And even those comics, you could just tell that the audience was just like, the second you say anything funny, we're going to laugh at it. Just give us anything. Just give us anything. And that's just such a fun audience. It just allows me to relax right off the bat and just be a lot more present. I get out of my lizard brain. I get out of my fear-based brain. I get out of my protective brain. And in those experiences, it's almost like, even if I'm doing material that I've done for a while, it's almost like I'm rediscovering the material again as I say it. Like the material regenerates and becomes new again. Whereas if I'm in an environment where maybe the audience isn't as supportive, or they're a little bit more held back, and so then maybe I get a little nervous, I get a little guarded, then I feel like when I do material, it feels a little more robotic, a little more rehearsed. It's harder for me to be present emotionally with that audience, even though the material is scripted. There is a definite difference between when that material becomes alive again versus me just sort of reading the script to get through, because I don't really feel a lot of love from the audience, which, that's probably more on me than the audience. I've actually had the discussion before about how often is the audience responsible for a show that doesn't go well, and how often is it the stand-up comedian. And in my opinion, it's almost always the comedian, with very rare exceptions. And I've had a very rare exception recently. As I have talked about, my New Year's Eve show was definitely an exception to where I'm like, no, that was really a bad situation for any comic to be successful. And then last night couldn't have been more the opposite. It's almost impossible for any comic not to be successful. Even a brand new amateur comic who doesn't have material really worked out or jokes worked out, that audience is going to give you so much love. And if you hit any note at all, they're going to they're going to give you a laugh. So had a great show. I've been thinking today about this concept of how do you know if you're on the right path if you aren't getting at least positive feedback, if you're getting no feedback, or especially if you're getting negative feedback? How do you know, or how do I know when it's a matter of, oh, you just got to stay on the path? The current result isn't actually a reflection of the value of what you're doing, and you just need to stay on the path, versus, no, this is an indication that what you're doing is not the right path and you need to pivot. Little Friends throwback there for you. And I struggle with that a lot. And I would suspect that just pretty much every artist ever, any dreamer ever, that there's probably been a time when they were doing something, they were creating, they were putting themselves out there, it wasn't going well, they were getting negative feedback, and then they had to make a choice of, well, do I pivot, or do I believe so strongly in what I'm doing that if I stay the course, it will eventually become what it needs to become? I'm thinking about Jim Carrey tells this story about how when he came out with Ace Ventura, that Siskel and Ebert just ripped it a new one and ripped him a new one, and just like, yeah, this guy is a real hack, and we don't know what this is, and this is just a ridiculous movie, and he's just not a movie star. We don't know what this guy is up to. And I'm totally paraphrasing. I don't know what Siskel and Ebert actually said, but when Jim Carrey is telling the story, he just, made it very clear that Siskel and Ebert, after watching Ace Ventura, did not think a whole heck of a lot of Jim Carrey. And I also was surprised to learn that Jim Carrey actually got auditioned for Saturday Night Live and didn't get cast on SNL. So it's like Saturday Night Live says no, Siskel and Ebert says no, and then you gotta think of what was Jim Carrey going through at that point in his career. And I'm totally speculating. I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but I'm just trying to take that idea of when you've put yourself out there and even the respected critics are saying you're bonkers, and not in a good way, Jim. Yeah, bro, this ain't it. And SNL goes, yeah, we're not seeing it. Thanks, but no thanks. How do you know to continue down the path that you've set out to do? Like, how did Jim Carrey know, like, well, no, these are the types of movies I need to be making, and then boom, he comes out with The Mask, and then boom, he comes out with Dumb and Dumber, Or is there an actual situation to where it might be valuable to listen to some feedback and go, oh, well, maybe I'm not on the right path here. Maybe I'm doing the wrong thing, and maybe I should make some adjustments. I don't know what the answer to that is. And I think that the reason it's probably on my mind is for the very reason that I have made a conscious decision to drastically increase my visibility as a comedian. So in late November, I made 2 really huge adjustments to my strategy to market myself. The first one is I made a decision that I'm going to film a podcast every single day, post it on YouTube, and post it on all of the podcasting sites daily. The second decision I made is that I am going to market myself multiple times daily on all social media platforms. Not every social media platform ever. The major ones: Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and X. And I just made an arbitrary decision that I was going to post 3 videos a day. Up until that point, I was pretty much posting 1 a day, and I wasn't very consistent in terms of getting that 1 video across all platforms. So I said 3 videos a day on all 5 major social media platforms, and that I was going to post at least 1 meme a day, advertising when I was performing next. And my thought was, I'm going to give him content, I'm going to give him content, I'm going to give him content, and then I'm going to go, hey, and guess what? This is where you can see me. And then the next day, give him content, give him content, give him content. Oh, by the way, this is when you can see me. While also simultaneously posting this podcast to where I'm just really talking really about myself, although I am starting to line up some guests. I've got 1 guest scheduled, and I have a tentative guest this weekend, and then I have a couple of sort of tentative guests coming in February, and I want to start filling that in. Just because I'm kind of getting sick of talking about myself. Are you guys getting sick of hearing about me? Don't answer that. So, obviously, I will still, if I don't have a guest, continue to just share my insights as I progress through this journey. But yeah, I'm really just in that, trying to find that balance of, I've already received criticism for this podcast. People telling me I'm not doing it right and telling me I should be doing it more, doing it less, or I should be trying to do it this way or that way. And I'm just going, I think for the first time in my life, I am trying. Well, let me put it this way. I think most of my life, I was way too far the other way. I was way too overly concerned with what everybody thought and everybody's feedback and everybody's criticism. And if one person had an issue or negative feedback, whether that feedback was well-intentioned or accurate or not, I just assumed everybody knows better than me. And it was my job to try to produce something that makes everybody happy and produce something that would be immune from criticism, which obviously is so ridiculously impossible and such drastically flawed logical thinking. Well, it's not logical thinking at all. It's illogical thinking. So I'm really now just trying to step into the space of, I am going to do what I want to do. I'm not out to hurt anybody. I'm not out to harm anybody. I'm not out to take anything from anybody else. I am just out to do me, and I'm going to do me as best as I can and produce what I feel like producing, say the jokes I feel like saying, put out the podcast I feel like putting out, releasing it when I feel like releasing it, and as often as I feel like releasing, putting the video clips that I think are funny and that I think showcase my talent. And I'm going to share as much of that with not only the internet world. I also, do it in person, but obviously the internet has the potential for a significantly greater reach than in person. But and those who like the content are going to watch it, and those who don't aren't. And some who don't are going to be pricks and leave negative comments and try to give me advice and tell me I should be doing something different, or hey, don't quit your day job. Which, by the way, if you're going to troll me, do better. Do better than don't quit your day job, guys. If you're going to criticize my creativity when I actually am creating something, and you're going to criticize my creativity with the most basic stereotypical insult that has been around for like 100 years, yeah, sorry. No respect for that. Don't quit your day job. Okay, yeah. Do better. Otherwise, keep your effing comments to yourself. Gonna criticize my creative coming up with stuff off the top of my head, and you're going to tell me not to do it with the most basic bitch insult of all time? Nah. Anyway, I got a little emotionally excited at that. Obviously, I still have some bitterness towards online trolls, and that's the joy. That's the experience that I get to have, putting myself out there constantly, is to have anybody and anyone can view my material and express an opinion about it online, and I get to just either ignore it, read it, respond to it, don't respond to it. And I'm just trying to get better and better at ignoring it and not responding to it. Because you want to know what? I just totally know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I feel that. I don't know what it's all leading to. I can't wait to find out myself. But at least where I'm at, I am trying more and more to just get comfortable with being me, doing me, and letting anybody who has a problem with it say whatever they want to say, think whatever they want to think. Not interested. I'm not interested. In the event that somebody approaches me with, the right sort of energy and actually has a good idea that resonates with me, fantastic. But anything beyond that, not interested. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and if somebody doesn't like it, they are more than welcome to go do their thing and do it in whatever manner pleases them. So those have been my thoughts today here on January 19th, 2024, episode 51 of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. If you are in the Gilbert, Arizona area, I will be performing at JP's Comedy Club tonight and tomorrow night. That's Friday and Saturday, January 19th and January 20th. There's a 7 o'clock show and a 9 o'clock show. You can get more information at jpscomedyclub.com. I will hope to see you out. Anyway, I hope all of you are finding joy and success in your journeys and in your dreams. And if people are critiquing you or criticizing you, but in your heart you're on the right path, I hope that you are finding the courage and that self-confidence to stare the critics in the face and just go, well, sorry, Shishkel and Ebert, that you didn't like Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Well, guess what? This movie star is about to be one of the highest paid movie stars of all time. So you can go ahead and not like it. Bye. All right, everybody. I love you all so much. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast, and I will talk to you tomorrow.